Good morning, everyone. We'll start the meeting of the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission. And if you'll join me we'll start with roll call.
Commissioners Brown.
Present.
Harris. Absent. Herr.
Present.
McCracken.
Present.
Paris. Absent. Vice Chair Little.
Present.
Chairman Mercy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, if you'll join me and stand, we'll just have a moment of silence and prayer, and each in our own way. Thank you. Commissioner McCracken will lead us in the pledge.
Good morning, everyone. If you please place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no presentations this morning, so we'll move to the consent calendar, which consists of the minutes from our last meeting. Everyone's had a chance to review those. Does anyone have any changes? If not, is there any objection to approving the consent calendar as presented? Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved. We'll move into reports. LA Sheriff's Department.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
The mic is on? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Good morning, commissioners and members of the public. My name is Deputy Kit Groupie, Lancaster Sheriff Station Community Relations. I'm here to answer questions you may have and present the crime statistics for June of 2024. I want to start out real quick with some questions that were asked at the meeting 2 months ago. Forgive me, I wasn't at the last meeting. The first question was asked by Commissioner McCracken about crime statistics with the Antelope Valley Press and the difference between the crime blotter there and my CompStat presentation from the sheriff's station. I reached out to Julie Drake at the Antelope Valley Press, who provided me the information they use, which is crimemapping.com. In a conversation I had with her, it seems like possibly crime mapping is a little behind on what they're reporting, comparatively speaking, to our crime statistics provided by our crime analyst at Lancaster Sheriff Station. So I hope that answers your question. Then additionally, Ms. Jackie Owens had a question for me. Ms. Jackie Owens from Congressman Mike Garcia's office had asked me about juveniles and gangs with recruitment. I did some research and talked to detectives at Operation Safe Streets Bureau assigned to Lancaster Sheriff Station. And during our conversation, we discussed juveniles with recruitment with gangs. I don't know if it's necessarily the word recruitment, but yes. Gangs have they've seen an influx nationwide in the last year of gangs going out and having juveniles or minors commit crimes just because of the time that they won't get for the crime committed. I mean, even a murder, most likely in talking to the OSS detectives, they would be out by 25 years of age. So yes, the answer is that gangs across the country are, in fact, utilizing minors or juveniles to commit crimes, significant crimes, because of the less time that they will be facing in the justice system. So, all right, I'm ready to present my crime statistics. Were there any questions in regards to those answers? Commissioner Herr?
You said the Navy Press, what they based on the link is a little behind, but is it accurate, and how much time is behind?
I don't have an answer for you, but I can research. I can tell you, in fact,
The reason I ask is I never read it myself, the articles, So do they really mention that the period of the reports or not, you know? And,
Right.
yeah.
I know that the most accurate information you'll be getting is here at the Criminal Justice Commission presentation.
Yeah, we
So,
know that, yeah.
okay.
Appreciate you.
All right. I will find out for you, though. I will ask what the time frame is and where it differs from what we're presenting at the next meeting.
Something corrected our end with them and with me.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? I'm assuming I'm going to push the arrow forward.
I'll add one quick thing real quick. So the most
Yes, sir.
accurate information, as Deputy Groupie indicated, is going to be about a month and a half to 2 months out, because that gives time for the paperwork to process through and be entered into the system. So that's why we present the information from June, now currently in August. So that gives us time, because it takes some time for that paperwork to process, almost 24,000 reports a year at Lancaster Station. So it takes time for the Secretariat to process that, enter those codes for those Part 1 crimes, and to be accurate and up to date is why we present them. But the Valley Press may get specific crimes, individual crimes, is the information they may have, and they could be compiling it from various sources.
Yeah, I think maybe if we could just chat with them, because maybe we want to make sure that they're reporting the right thing and find out who crime mapping, what crimemapping.com is, because we don't know who that source is. And if yours is the accurate source, then, it helps to get the accurate information out to the public.
This has been brought up before. I think we talked about
Yeah.
the Valley Press and the misconception as far as some of these crimes and this and that, because I do know out of my office, and a lot of times, as you guys, as commissioners will know, people come to us and say, look at these crimes, and look at what I read in the paper, and look at this and this and this. Realistically, it never kind of matches up to what, they are anticipating, and I'd say, it's interesting, you guys want to see some real stuff, so I know the ones that really keep an eye on it, that they'll cut that thing out in the paper and have it on their desk every morning. It seems like I have to laugh at times because it's not close,
Right.
and
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is the real
we
deal
deal with
here.
we deal with the facts. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes what you may see the day of the incident or when it happens is going to be different than what the facts of the case are.
Exactly, yeah, exactly, so.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right. That's clicker here. I'm going to be looking back at the gentleman back there to move forward on the slide. All right. So we're going to start with the 5 and 1 year comparisons. And I'm going to give you the 2024 year-to-date reported crimes first. So for criminal homicide in the city of Lancaster, year-to-date for June of 2024 is going to be, if you can go back real quick, I'm sorry. Thank you. Is 12 on criminal homicide for the city, and then the unincorporated area is 1 for a total of 13. Forcible rape in the city of Lancaster in 2024 is 33, and the unincorporated area 11 for a total of 44. Robberies in the city of Lancaster is at 128. The unincorporated area 18 for a total of 146. Aggravated assaults are at 488 within the city and 53 in the unincorporated area for a total of 541. Burglaries are at 338 and 56 in the unincorporated area for a total of 394. Larceny theft is 594 in the city, unincorporated area 91 with a total of 685. Grand theft auto year to date is going to be 632 within the city, and 203 in the unincorporated areas for a total of 835. Arsons are at 17 within the city limits, 14 in the unincorporated area for a total of 31. So Part 1 crimes total in the city is 2242, unincorporated areas 447 for a total of 2689. When it comes to the auto thefts, we've been working closely with TRAP, our auto theft detectives here in the Antelope Valley. We've had a steering wheel lock campaign. We've been posting on social media that they're free to the public, and whoever wants them, even when we run out and get a supply, the folks that do request them are on a list, and we ensure that we get them to them.
How's that coming about? A lot of people coming in for them?
We've had a few,
Yeah, I went through 2 boxes in a matter of hours,
so 16 per box.
8 per box.
Or sorry, so total of 16 in a couple hours of people, so. And I know that they received them from that large Hyundai reprogramming day that they did with the city at the fairgrounds. So Hyundai provided those, but we still have some, and I've been getting them as needed from the detectives at TRAP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
As far as the cameras involved on stolen vehicles and stuff, I have a colleague that had his truck stolen right up from his right from his driveway on the west side, residential neighborhood. And the truck has been seen, and it's also been seen in Palmdale. They have the same type of cameras in Palmdale too?
The flock cameras?
Block cameras.
Yes.
And it shows this individual going to a residential neighborhood, Captain, and ripping off a license plate of a truck, jumping back in the stolen truck that he had taken, and put those plates on, that shows it getting caught in Palmdale with that truck driving with the license plates, so,
With the separate plates.
with the separate plates.
So if someone notices that their license plates are gone,
Well, it showed it on a regular, thank God for the ring camera type situation at their own residence, showed somebody driving up and jumping out of the vehicle that was stolen and ripping off the license plate on the front of her and jumping back in and taking off. Well, hence it took a few days before somebody could figure out that that individual finally reported it and that I'm missing a front license plate. And obviously the system red tagged this vehicle in Palmdale somewhere off of S and 47th, I want to say, somewhere in that area. And I do know that Lancaster Sheriff's Department has been working hard on trying to, but I wanted to make sure that those cameras were the ones that were picking that up, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they were being picked up on the flock cameras in Palmdale also. Palmdale has 50, and we currently have 50 throughout the city also. And I know the city is moving forward to add additional, in both cities, additional flock cameras, because there are certain areas that aren't covered. But it would be nice to get them in a larger, spread out pattern of areas.
Cap, you're exactly right, because just to let you know, within a day and a half, if that, I think that truck that was stolen and the license plate was picked up in Palmdale that quick, so obviously, whether they've apprehended the individual yet, I'm not even sure, but.
And I have some numbers for those too, just because I know it was a topic last night at City Council. And I have some numbers from the flock hits. Year to date up to June, we've had, so total license plate reads, 466,160 license plate reads on those 50 cameras, and 6,523 alert, what we call hot list hits. And that encompasses everything from stolen vehicles to felony vehicles to stolen license plates also.
That's amazing, yeah. Anyways.
Thank you.
thank you. If we can go back real quick, we'll just go over percentages. I'm sorry. I was having some technical difficulties with this controller, so my apologies. Okay, so we'll go just to the end unless the commission has any other questions as far as percentages go. The 1 year change, year to date 24 to 23. On the criminal homicide within the city of Lancaster was down 29.41%. In the unincorporated areas, it was down 50%. For a total average for the station at 31.58%. If you go down to the forcible rapes, it's down within the city 2.94%. However, there was an increase of 83.33% in the unincorporated areas, with a total average for both at 10%. If you go to robberies in the city of Lancaster, within the year, we're down 17.42%. However, there was an increase in the unincorporated area at 63.64%, for a total still average of negative 12%, 12.5%. If you go to aggravated assaults within the city limits, it increased at 6.55% in the unincorporated area. It increased at 8.16% for a total average of an increase within the Antelope Valley Lancaster area at 6.71%. Burglaries are at a drop of 0.59% and a drop at 37.78% in the unincorporated areas, which gives you a total average of drop at 8.37%. Larceny thefts are up at 0.51% within the city of Lancaster, and an increase of 13.75% in the unincorporated area, which makes a total average of 2.09%. Grand theft auto is up 6.4% in the city, and then in the unincorporated areas, it's up 38.10% for a total average of 12.38%. Arsons are up 6.25% in the city, and an increase at 55.56% for a total increase of 24% on average. The Part 1 crimes total are up 1.59% in the city of Lancaster and 13.45% in the unincorporated areas as an average from last year, for a total of 3.38%. So June from last year to now, we've seen the increase of 3.38% in the Lancaster area where Lancaster Station serves. If we can move forward. Any questions? Okay, and then the arrest count for the previous 12 months, June of last year, 23, we were at 449, and June of this year, we're at 359 total. Any questions? Sorry, if you can move forward. This is the City of Lancaster Part 1 crime hotspot areas. I'll give you opportunity to look. The darker orange is obviously more dense, and the yellowish lighter color is going to be sparse.
Any major difference that you guys are noticing?
Go back. Oh, I'm sorry. Probably got to go forward. As far as?
The type of calls coming in, or one area all of a sudden picking up on more calls than the other?
I haven't seen a noticeable change in anything that's going on.
Okay.
Obviously, we had the month where, there was several murders in a short period of time.
Right.
But other than that, everything has been pretty consistent when it comes to the hotspot areas.
How's the routing for our police department? How's that coming as far as getting called into the station and routing to our police force?
We're still handling, okay, thank you. We're handling all of the routine priority and emergency calls for service still. However, and I can't speak on behalf of the city, I'll give them an opportunity to do so when it comes to their app with the city and how that's being used. I do know that their civilian members on the public safety team from the police department are still out currently handling the routine calls for service. Their law enforcement technicians are out on a daily basis during the week handling.
Those calls come into the sheriff's department?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
all the
I know
calls
it's early stages, but I'm assuming until you guys can see a a relief on your part, because I know that's the whole key factor, you know, is it, can you see some type of relief?
No, absolutely. We've still, the neighborhood watches, I'm heavily involved with Rochelle at the City of Lancaster neighborhood watch meetings, where I regularly see Chief Armelin. There's some specific things that we've been working closely with, and
Awesome.
target-oriented or quality of life issues within the city. I'm not going to bring them up now because they're still currently being worked on. But yeah, absolutely. As far as the police department and the relationship working, yeah, it's moving forward. However, the sheriff's department is still funneling the calls for service.
Fantastic.
So I can move forward now. I guess it's up. There we go. Perfect. And then the City of Lancaster calls for service, calls only hotspot areas. Which it seems like, I mean, they're part one crimes, but it seems pretty consistent if you look as to where we're responding as well, handling these calls for service. Any questions? Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you very much. I will research the question you had, Commissioner Herr.
Yes, I have a question. Actually, about the voice for the service, voice alarm cases, does it count it over here, voice alarm? You know, I own the business myself, and time to time, and I have a voice alarm.
I'm sorry?
Voice alarm, and it just burglar alarm, it just dispatch a.
Oh, okay.
It just
Burglary alarm or like a panic alarm or a robbery alarm? Is this something that's being activated by someone breaking into the location?
you know,
Oh, so accidental alarms.
yeah, it's,
You know what, I will research that. I know that we've been working with false alarm warning notices within the City of Lancaster. We have something called a FAWN. So anytime there's an accidental alarm activation, we fill out what's called a FAWN, false alarm warning notice, which is on a city form. And I believe that if it's a consistent issue, then the city addresses it with the business owner. But I don't have that answer. I could find out for you.
I don't know if still active, because I know we have a city with a program, and there's a first alarm, and the case brought it up, and they send a notice to the business owner or the residential owner to explain. And second time, there was a fine.
I'm gonna hit your mic button.
Sorry. There's a second time, there was a fine.
Right.
And it posted, I don't know, the City of Lancaster still.
Yeah, the FAWN system is still implemented, so
Oh, I see.
as a deputy, if I'm responding to a call for service, whether it be a burglary audible alarm, a silent robbery alarm, a panic alarm, any type of alarm within the city limits, majority of it is burglary alarm calls for service, right? Those false alarms, maybe the sensors are a little
Right.
sensitive, or the wind's blowing, or someone left the door open.
Yeah, after business hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we're responding to those calls for service and we realize and say the door's open, deputies clear the house properly and ensure that a burglary did not occur or there was no evidence of crime and it was just an accidental activation only, we fill out what's called that false alarm warning notice. It's on a city form, and then they get submitted to the city where the city researches that, I believe, and then they send those notices. Essentially, if it becomes an issue, right, of taking deputies away or law enforcement away from what they need to do, but it's more for the consistent people who are having issues with their alarms.
All right.
So that process is what you would see when you get the mailer. That is generated by that false alarm warning notice being filled out by a deputy on scene. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Perfect. Commission, thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Armando Casas out of the Antelope CHP office. Glad to report that we've had a slight increase in personnel due to our trainees being off of training. So we're taking advantage of that and deploying our personnel to problem areas such as the SR-14 and SR-138. What we've been doing is saturation enforcement, which can last approximately 2 hours of zero tolerance enforcement. Out of the 3 locations that we've been working during the month of August, we've yielded 120 citations during those operations. One of the operations took place on Monday, August 5th. The second operation took place on this last Monday, August 12th. One in the middle of the day, toward closer to the afternoon, and one in the evening on SR-138. Also, 3 vehicles were impounded out of the operations, and we'll continue to address problem areas in this manner. We have a few more operations planned for the rest of the month, and also for Labor Day weekend, which is coming up in September. Some of our stats for the month of July. Total citations issued 1,072, which is an increase to the prior year, compared to the prior year, which was 817. Speeding violations specifically were at 454, slight increase from the previous year, 416. Distracted driver violations increased 76%. 99 citations were issued in July. Total enforcement contacts, 1,823. Arrests, general arrests, 100 for the month of July. DUI arrests, 82, compared to 70 the prior year. DUI crashes have increased as well. 16 crashes compared to 13 the previous year. Total crashes, unfortunately, increased as well. 143 crashes for the month of July compared to 135 the prior year. And for stats, that's all I have, unless you have any questions. And I also have a side note for you.
Lieutenant, distractions, up 76%, you said?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Distracted driver violation.
Okay, explain. Is that cell phone?
Cell phone use.
Is that 99% of it cell phone?
Yes, correct.
Amazing how many people still, well, it shouldn't be amazing because every time I turn around, I'm seeing people on their cell phones, so.
They're out there, yes.
Amazing. The speeding violations, can you attribute it much on the 14 freeway?
14 and SR 138.
Okay,
So both.
okay. And even with the slowdown of the 14 freeway, it's still, I see people all the time just pedal to the metal on that thing sometimes.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to
Yeah.
target the areas.
Great job what you're doing.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
And then on a side note, I just wanted to inform you that our office phone numbers have been inoperable for the past 2 weeks. What we're doing is we publicized an alternate phone number, which is the Newhall CHP office, and they're trying to provide as much service as possible or recommend that people walk into the Antelope Valley CHP office. The temporary number for Newhall CHP is 661-600-1600. And hopefully by tomorrow, we'll have a temporary fix to our office phone number, and we can start getting calls or accepting calls very soon. The problem is on the phone company side, Frontier. They discovered that copper wiring was stolen, so it affected our office.
On your DUIs, how much is that is alcohol versus any other substance that's they're on? Do you have a way of tracking that?
We do. However, when they're combination, DUI and drug, we categorize it as alcohol. It's easier to prove, although we do have some stats, but the majority will fall under alcohol.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Public safety update.
Good morning, Chairman Mercy and Commissioners. My name is Christine Malta, and I'm a manager with the newly formed police department. I'm here on behalf of Chief Armelin and Assistant Chief Roberts, who are unfortunately unavailable today. Chief Armelin's with the mayor and vice mayor working on a strategic plan, and Assistant Chief Roberts is participating in a large joint operation with a state agency that I cannot comment any further on today, so since it's ongoing. So we have a few updates for you today, the most exciting being that we've moved into our new station on Sierra Highway. So we were able to move in last week. We were a little delayed with an air conditioning unit that broke right before we moved in, but we're happy to announce that we're there. We'll be hosting a grand opening on Saturday, September 14th. Information will be forthcoming through our comms team. But if you are available to attend, and this is to everybody here in attendance, we'd like you to RSVP directly to our station, and you'll be RSVPing to Rochelle Early. Her email address is rearly@cityoflancasterca.org. So we would love to have you out to walk you through the new station. We're currently still in the process of unpacking and getting everything in place. Next, we want to talk about the team that's maintaining our public spaces, their update for the month of July. They made 144 contacts with homeless, cleaned up 52 encampments, which included the removal of 100 tons of trash, and retrieved 43 shopping carts. We're actively recruiting for police officers, sergeants, and dispatchers right now. We do have 2 officers still going through backgrounds, 3 navigating the process of the community panel interviews, and the dispatchers are accepting applications. So we're hoping to add to our police force quickly. I have the honor and privilege of representing our services team, and our focus is on community outreach and resource education so that we can solve some of the problems affecting our community and public safety at the core. We're connecting our residents to services by working through community-based and faith-based organizations and ensuring that they have the resources they need to provide everything to our citizens. We're basically connectors and bridge builders and looking at who's doing what in our community and how we can help them, how we can connect them with other service-based organizations that may be the next cog in the wheel to get people moved on. And we're focusing on community violence, homelessness, substance use, mental health, and those types of things. One of the key ways that we're doing this is through our faith-based community connections. And at this time, I would like to introduce Kim Doris, who's our faith-based coordinator, and she's going to share with you some of the great things that we've been doing.
Good morning, Chairman Mercy and all the commissioners. I'm here to talk about the Lancaster Police Department and some of the initiatives and activities that we've been working on. The first one I'd like to share with you is our Lancaster Praise Community Group. We have created a faith-based community group called Lancaster Praise, and I'd like to read to you our mission, which is to cultivate a unified community by fostering meaningful relationships amongst law enforcement, faith-based leaders, service providers, and residents through faith-driven outreach, dialogue, and collaboration. So this group is a community initiative dedicated to bridging gaps between law enforcement agencies, different churches, service providers, and community members. The core principles are rooted in faith, healing, compassion, and collaboration. So again, the group includes different clergy, churches, ministers, pastors, leaders, service providers, CBOs, and different citizens who are passionate about improving the state of our community. The Lancaster Praise group has 3 different subcommittees. The first one is CVI, so Community Violence Intervention, and those are our people who are, specialists in violent behavior, gang intervention, or people who pray. Those who are willing and able to going out in the community and praying in those areas that are affected with crime. The second is our care and hospitality team. So these are the groups and organization who do food distributions, toy drives, and they work with our unhoused population or homelessness. Last but not least, spiritual counseling. So these are our pastors, anyone that's in the church who's providing pastoral care, mental health, or any support classes. So that is for Lancaster Praise. We've been in operation about 6 months. We're continuously growing. We have a contact list around 150. Next, our community candlelight healing vigil. On July 18th, we held a profound community candlelight vigil that was inspired by our very own Captain Bartlett during our Faith in Blue planning call. So in the wake of our tragic gun violence that shook Lancaster, resulting in 4 homicides in just 24 hours, we recognized the urgent need for healing and unity. And so the vigil served as a sacred space for community members to come together in prayer, reflection, support, fostering a collective path towards healing. This event was truly impactful, bringing together, of course, our Sheriff's Department, 5th District, City of Lancaster, Lancaster Police Department, and various faith and community leaders. And it was all united and shared the commitment to promote peace and resilience. That everyone's present, everyone who showed up showed the importance of solidarity during such challenging times. The Office of Violence Prevention expressed its appreciation for the vigil. They were able to hand out 25 gun locks and connected with additional resource groups that focused on domestic violence and suicide hotlines. The Office of Violence Prevention highlights the significance of the vigil, which nurtured a supportive community environment. So overall, the vigil not only honored those affected by the violence, because we did have the families that were there, they were able to speak to show how this change has affected their lives, but it also reinforced our collective determination for a safer, more compassionate Lancaster. And I want to ask if we have anyone who would like to add anything about the vigil before I move forward. Griffey? Okay, I'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for all your help. It was an amazing event.
Oh, thank you. No worries. Faith in Blue. So we are participating in the National Faith in Blue Weekend, which is a peace march. So the Lancaster Police Department is co-hosting with the Sheriff's Department, the Board of Supervisors, LA County Office of Violence Prevention, the faith-based community, and our community partners. On October 12th at 10 a.m., we're participating in the first ever National Faith in Blue Weekend in the Antelope Valley, which will be a peace march from Living Faith Cathedral Church to Jane Reynolds Park, with the community building festivities at the park, and more details will be provided at the September's meeting. A little bit about Faith in Blue. So Faith in Blue was inaugurated in 2020 by Movement Forward, working with the Office of Community Oriented Policing Services, which is the COPS office, at the Department of Justice. The idea was a simple but powerful one. The ties that bind officers and residents together must be enforced if we're wanting to build stronger, safer neighborhoods. Faith-based organizations are key to building these bonds because they are not only the largest community resource in the nation with 65 million participants in weekly events, but because they are as diverse as our nation. So again, Faith in Blue was launched to facilitate safer, stronger, more just communities, more unified communities by directly enabling partnerships amongst law enforcement professionals, residents, businesses, and community groups through the connections of the faith-based organization. So during the second week of October, houses of worship and law enforcement agencies jointly organize activities that are designed to foster an environment of healing and reconciliation. And I do want to make a note that this is not only for California or Lancaster. This is a nationwide event. So churches and agencies across the nation, all the states, will be participating during this weekend, but it's the first time for the Antelope Valley. At the heart of this initiative is the reinforcement of connections between law enforcement professionals and the communities they serve through the reach of houses of worship. No resource can match the depth of the faith community in facilitating public engagement with law enforcement, which is needed more now than ever. And these connections are built through activities that are held in neighborhoods of every kind across the nation. Lancaster jointly hosted with houses of worship and law enforcement entities. The initiative aims to recalibrate police-community relations through activities that are organized jointly by faith-based and other community groups and law enforcement agencies. That is Faith in Blue Weekend. I'm going to ask if we have anything to add for the weekend, Faith in Blue Weekend. Oh, yes. So when it comes to the Peace March, again, it'll start at the church, but then end at the park. And then so at the park, we're going to have several different vendors. We're going to have resource tables. We're looking into various activities. We want to get the youth and the children involved. So we're really making it an event that'll bring everyone together, and it's going to be lighthearted, light-spirited. We're going to have some music out there, a DJ. So we're planning everything, but it's not going to be boring. I promise it's going to be fun. So if you want to make a note on your calendar, October 12th at 10 a.m., come and be a part of the Peace March. Thank you.
There'll be some type of maybe sport event, maybe a 3-on-3 basketball. The commission's welcome to form a team.
There we go.
Against the sheriffs, against the city PD, against all the.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it just sounds incredible bringing those folks together. I do have a question.
I'm so sorry. Yes.
Just as bringing all those folks together, then the church community is so important. I'm just wondering. I know that nationally, there's been an uptick in anti-Semitism, as you know, some stemming from the Hamas-Israel war. Have you reached out to the local synagogue?
We haven't reached out to the synagogue, but this is open to all different faiths.
Okay.
In fact, the last Lancaster praise meeting, we had someone representing the Muslim faith as well as Christian faith. So it is open. It's not just sectioned off for one different denomination.
Yeah, it might be good to reach out. 'Cause I know
Okay.
I'm not aware of any increase in incidents up here, but I know Jewish residents across the country feel a little less safe right now, and might be good to reach out to them too.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Any other questions?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, legislative office updates. We'll start with Congressman Garcia's office.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, and again, thank you, as always, for all that you do. This is a very important commission. So first, I just want to say thank you to Lieutenant Casas and the CHP in regards to some of the things going on the 138. As you know, we've had quite a few fatalities, and the Congressman's been out there, and every time he's gone or I've gone, they've been there, their team's been there, and very engaging with the community. And thank you. You're saving lives, sir. Thank you very much. So in a brief update, the Congressman is what they call August recess, but there's nothing about it that suggests he's on recess. He's all over the map. He's in the district. And last Tuesday, a week ago Tuesday, he had a town hall in College of the Canyons. A lot of times folks are like, well, why is he in Santa Clarita and not in AV? And because our district goes from the Kern County line all the way down to a portion of San Fernando, we have to kind of alternate where he does his town halls. We were in Lancaster about 6 months ago, and a little over a week ago, he was at the College of the Canyon. It was a tremendous success. He had over 500 people out. We had quite a few residents who came down from the AV, and like the one in AV, he stayed to answer every question, which he was very gracious, but the staff at 10 o'clock at night was praying that nobody would ask any more questions. Please be done, please be done. But that's how he rolls. He's going to answer every question if he can. This occasion we had an earthquake, and I swear it wasn't because I prayed for an earthquake. It just happened, and we were able to finish a little early. But one of the things that came up, as you may know, with the VA is there's a shortfall. There's about a $15 billion shortfall. My budget doesn't operate in the B's section, but in Washington, they seem to throw around the B's and the T's all over the place. So the way that worked is the Biden administration in April asked for $405.4 billion for the VA, and the VA confirmed that that was enough. In July 15th, they came back and said, we have a $3 billion shortfall for the fiscal year of '24 and $12 billion shortfall for fiscal year of '25. Now, what that means for our veterans is they're saying as of October 1st, that will cut off their benefits, which is an atrocity. That cannot happen unless there's a supplemental covering of those shortfalls. Those benefits will stop October 1st. So the congressman is working hard, and our team is working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. Again, this was a miscalculation on the Biden administration as well as the VA. So it wasn't brought to our attention until July 15th. So with that being said, just take note that we're working on that, and he's very, very much aware of that, and we have a lot of our veterans that are also being vocal about it. So we're not going to, as much as in his power, we're not going to let that happen. So the other things that we wanted to talk about was
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. So they said they needed $4.5 billion.
$405.4 billion
Okay.
for the VA funding for the budget.
And when was that?
That was April of this year. If you remember, we had a continuing resolution, and the budget was.
No, I was just
yeah.
shocked that the Biden-Harris administration could be so far off on their budget projection.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yes. So that's it. I pretty much, those are the top issues with us, unless you have any questions. All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Great, thank you. Senator Wilk's office.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Thomas Marino from the Office of State Senator Scott Wilk. I just have a couple quick updates. We are now back in session after the month off that the legislature had. Not too much has passed in the last week and a half, but I do have a couple updates on some of the bills that I talked about last month. SB 905, which was the bill for the retail theft package that creates 2 new criminal offenses for vehicle theft, though that is now waiting to be heard and retaken up in the Senate for a final passage. SB 982, which deletes the sunset date for the crime of organized retail theft that Senator Wilk was a co-sponsor of, or co-author of, has now passed the Assembly and is now waiting to be taken up in the Senate as well. And SB 1242, which clarifies that setting a fire within a business in order to facilitate organized retail theft shall be a factor in aggravation for the crime of unlawfully causing a fire, which is just a slightly less version of arson, is now passed and being waiting to be taken up in the Senate as well. To do with our bills now, SB 1004, which is his wildfire settlement tax exemption bill, is waiting in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. We are confident that'll be passed, and that will be, give Juniper Hills area a little bit of financial leeway to do with that. And then, unfortunately, SB 1359, which was the senator's bill on dumping on private property, it was to make it a misdemeanor to dump on private property whether you own the property or not, according to the local jurisdictions. We ended up having to pull that bill because when it was in the amendments process, it got the misdemeanor removed. It got the 3 times the fine moved to 1.2 times the current fine. And so we just thought it was a shell of a bill, and the senator decided just to pull it all together because it just was no longer a bill that was worthy of being passed. So that's the update I have from our office. Any questions?
Yeah, so starting a fire on purpose to steal is not considered arson?
No, and we're hoping to get that a little changed.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing. Well, okay, let me get this straight. I'm not sure on this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see, do we have I see we have Assemblyman Lackey's office here.
Good morning, everybody. As you know, everyone is really busy in Sacramento trying to get to 1,300 bills. Right now, AB 3083, the domestic violence protective orders from the Assemblyman, is headed up to the governor, so we're excited about that one. We wanted to draw your attention to Proposition 32, which raises the minimum wage initiative statute. That will be on the November ballot, as well as Proposition 33, which expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property. Proposition 34, which restricts spending by healthcare providers meeting specified criteria. And then Proposition 35 provides permanent funding for Medi-Cal healthcare services. And Proposition 36 allows felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. So those are the current updates that we have for the propositions heading to the ballot. As soon as the legislature is done this month, the Assemblyman will be able to come out and give a better update on what is going on. And I also wanted to draw your attention, we do have a public safety forum that we're holding on the 24th. It will involve CHP, LASD, the City of Lancaster, and the City of Palmdale, as well as the Assemblyman. It's held at the Doubletree Hotel, and it is from 11 a.m. to 12:30. You would RSVP by calling our office. Our phone number is 661-267-7636. If you guys have any questions? Nothing? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have Assemblymember Carrillo's office here? No? Okay. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items.
This is a time to address the Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time limit is announced. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Paul, David Paul, come on down. Good to see you again.
Chair Mercy and Commissioners, good morning. I'm sporting my VA walker here, and I can't tell you how frightening that would be for them to cut off the money, because I don't really know what I would do. So I went to that meeting, and we're working at it. You know, I have trouble sleeping at night, and thank goodness for Netflix. And I'm just finished watching a show called Vikings, and there's a next one, Viking Valhalla. And it strikes me watching that how similar those times were to where we live now and how we get through to people. And we have a long way to go still, but we've come a long way. So that's how I think about those things. When the lieutenant was talking about their phone service out, I've had no landline service for over a month. My wife finally doggedly dug into it, and they admitted they're stealing the copper wires. And you know, what can a person do? Because my phone isn't as important as a law enforcement agency's phone, but you know, it does matter to me. And I know people pull stuff out and rip stuff up, and it's always a mixed bag. Like, I drove home from the hospital board meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was startling to me because it was the first time that I saw prostitutes on 15th West and H8. And, you know, it startled me. And then you're flooded with all these things because these are young women. I'm sure they're being trafficked and exploited, and they're not the problem. And what can we do about it? So, you know, we just keep trying. But I think about funny things when Deputy Groupie was talking about those clubs. People will take anything that you give them for free. I've had clubs, and it's, you know, hard to use the things, and no one wants to steal my car. That's my strategy. Have a crappy car so no one will steal it. So, but, you know, and this is how my mind works, crazy stuff like that. What are those clubs good for? And I remember stuff about the Revolutionary War, And the Americans, George Washington was always trying to find stuff to grind down metal and put in the cannons. So it's good cannon fodder, no matter what happens. But yeah, the Viking stuff is treachery upon scheme upon treachery. Everybody wants to be the king. And it does deal with historic parts of life that I think it's good for people to be acquainted with, because there's a conversion process in the North. You know, I'm probably 75% Norseman, so I like that. But you know, we're just going along, and I really appreciate everything you guys do, because again, I've said this before up here, I don't know how you do it. I have a real low tolerance for crap, and everything is dual. So when you're getting together with people and you want to reform things, people get fixated on ideas, and it's hard to change anybody's mind. I mean, you have to do that yourself. So, but the events that bring people together so we can understand each other better, I'm all for that. And thank you for everything you guys do.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your service to this nation. I would recommend, just in case you ever need anything, Christine Ward at Congressman Garcia's office is a fierce.
She's golden to me. So.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, we have one more speaker? Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner, I apologize. I wanted to, I saw the ladies in the audience here. They're actually part of a program at our station. And they can correct me a little bit if I'm wrong. They're going to come up and speak a little about it, bring the speaker card up.
Please do.
But ATI is a program that initially started about 2.5 years ago at Lancaster Station. We're the only station in the county that was doing the program, I believe at the time and currently still. And it's called Alternatives to Incarceration, but I'll let them kind of speak about it a little bit. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having us. Sorry, it's our first time here. We're happy to be here. We just want to speak about our program. We've been here like about 3 years. It's still being developed, but we do see that it's been helping a lot of like of our incarcerated population there, and we're happy that the Lancaster Sheriff Station allowed us to come in there and provide the services that we do to the patients for mental health, substance abuse, disorders. A lot of the patients in there that we were originally helping were for nonviolent offenses, but we understand with the zero bail, everything changed. So it's a little bit harder to engage the population, where we would sign them up. They complete a program with Tarzana Treatment Center. Once they complete it, we would let the district attorney know, and they wouldn't file the charges for what they originally came in for. So now that that's changed, we still want to help out. So now we're coming more with like Deputy Groupie, Deputy Green, and Sergeant Chapman, and just coming out to community events and just more expanding the resources of just Tarzana Treatment Center, and then offering it to everybody that kind of gets cited out from the jail. So it's not just focusing on their charges anymore. It's just anybody that wants to help with the resources, we're just there to offer it and help out as best as we can. So we refer them either to locations out here in the Antelope Valley or out to Woodland Hills, Long Beach, wherever they want to go, or we partner up with other agencies too, like Homeboy Industries or anything like that, because we do realize some of our participants are 290 registrants, and we know it's a little bit harder to house them, but we even go above and beyond to try to find them housing. So if anybody ever wants to try to find us, or if they want assistance, we're located at the jail. I'm there Monday through Friday in the mornings, starting to do early mornings now, so we're kind of trying to be there all day now.
And I'm sorry, what is the 290?
Basically, the people that are registered like sex offenders, so they can't really be housed, because a lot of organizations out here, they don't have the grants to kind of get their own housing for their protection to house them separately, and they won't house them with certain populations because a lot of them are kind of neutral, agree with them for their offenses. So for their safety, it's kind of a little bit harder to house them just with the same type of like crimes that they committed. Any other questions?
How do I have your contact? Maybe we can chat after this
Yeah.
meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you
they-
said, and you,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead, Captain.
And they initially started as really first as arrestees were coming in the jail for those low level offenses.
Okay.
They would put them on the program and sign them up. And then that's kind of transitioned to more like in the way of field work, but also still assessing arrestees as they come into the station to see if they're going to qualify for the program and to get them the resources.
So what they do is not for sexual assault victims, correct?
No, just helping with housing, some that may have those crimes.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we focus, so it's kind of like two parts now. Originally, it was mostly just for basically the people that get arrested, but now we're kind of expanding, like, we're trying to be neutral with either people get arrested and also the victims. We're making it fair. We're providing services to everybody. So people that are victims of domestic violence, people that have been victims of like being raped or anything, we're offering it across the board. We're being neutral. So whether you were arrested or not, we provide services. Whether you were the victim, we provide services. Just we're being neutral across the board now with services that we provide in the jail and in the field.
Reason they ask, and the AB hospital, they used to have a program for the sexual victims, and there's a deputies, and I belong to one of those organizations, and who take care of those victims. They treat it over there. They used to be, but somehow when the new CEO came in, it's coming out of their funding, and it's a business. They look at it as a business. They closed that program, so now it's a deputy and their agent have to take victims all the way to the Northridge. It's a 45 minutes of a drive, and the captain aware of that one too, right? To sexual victims, so 45 minutes drive,
Yeah.
a lot of things change on their mind, and the deputy cannot correct statements, a
Yeah.
lot of things. We're trying to bring it back up, but it is with the AB hospital funding issues, they want to blame on to the LA County, but that's why I'm asking you, but, that's not, I guess it's directly related with that kind of program, right?
Yes.
Does it go with first offenders only, or is it somebody that repeat offenders, or how does it work?
It also qualifies for repeat offenders, but we look into the history also depending on what the offense is. So before, we would do like somebody who sold a vehicle for, let's say, a 10851 charge. So if it's a first timer, we take it. If they repeat offender, we kind of have to run it by a watch commander. They have to review the history. They kind of have to read basically what happened in the call to make sure there was nothing like an additional charge that would be considered like, oh no, you know what, there was a victim involved.
Right.
They ended up destroying property. Like, we don't feel okay. They're going to owe restitution. Like, we don't feel too okay about it. So we kind of have to go through the process. And if we can kind of convince them, like, you know what, it was more drug-related why they did it, or mental health-related, they work with us.
Gotcha.
So they're pretty good at working with us. And then we deal, like, directly, too, with our sergeants and the detective bureau. So we're pretty good, like, with working and kind of compromising when it comes to, like, re-enrolling repeat offenders.
Right.
Yeah, and it has to be vetted by a watch commander. Watch
Sure.
commander just review it and looks at the criminal history and makes sure that it's not somebody that has a pattern.
Right.
A repeat offender. And I think a lot of it really started initially really is to help. There's not a lot of resources, none really, for arrestees arrested for drug charges. So really was starting with Tarzana, was trying to get those resources, because really out there you have people that are begging for help because there's no resource through the court system
Right.
to put them into rehab. So these programs really help those low-level drug offenders, get them into some type of program in rehab and help.
Yeah.
How can a commission help you?
We need more housing. That's our...
It seems to be a general consensus. isn't
That's
it?
our thing.
Housing, yeah.
It's the housing, because even if we get vouchers and stuff, they go by really quick, and it's like, we need like more of housing. So we're even trying to find some type of grant to help us, like trying to open up our own housing, or, because even with our residential facility that we have on 10th and J, for adults and the youth in the back, it's pretty filled up, and it's a waiting list, so it's really hard to get people in there. And I know some people desperately want to get in there to the point where they're there at 8 in the morning every day checking in, hey, is there a bed? Is there a bed? Is there a bed? And we feel bad even on Volunteers of America on 16th and I, we're calling every day, hey, do you guys have a vacant bed? No, there's a wait list. There's a wait list. And that's just the thing, it's like the housing, just finding housing. It's like really difficult out here right now.
Yeah, I know the city's looking at a lot of that stuff down on Stonesville. You guys are revamping a lot of things these days, so. Yeah, it seems that's the general consensus is housing.
Yeah.
We do have some resources with some of the faith-based organizations. Victory Outreach Church does have recovery homes that they're using, and they have a program that they run through that. So that might be a good connection for you all, is to get in touch with them. They have a men's and a women's home that they do recovery. It's faith-based, like I said, but that might be something that you can look into.
Okay, I'll look into it, thank you. Victory Outreach. Yeah. I have a friend.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing that.
Great, thank you for your time.
Okay. Commissioner comments? Okay, adjournment to the next meeting. I noticed the next meeting is scheduled for September 11th at 10 a.m. Can we check and just make sure that doesn't conflict with the community 9/11 memorial? Because I know a lot of us are involved with that. And, yeah. Okay.